The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management. It's time for Where You Live with Gene and Tony, the show that's all about owning, buying, selling, renting, and association management. If it involves a home, we'll talk about it. Here's your chance to get your homeowner questions answered. From the Natural Lawn and Landscape Studios, here's Gene and Tony.
Needed the shelter of someone's arms, and there you were. Needed someone to understand my ups.
Good morning. Welcome to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. I'm Gene Sullivan.
And I'm Tony Crockett. How are you today, Gene?
I'm doing really good. How about you?
That's good. I'm doing fine.
That's good. And how about you, Chris, our board op?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me.
Good. This is Chris Wyatt Earp, puberty with the fastest fingers in. There we go. Well, it wasn't so.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure where my introduction would come. Right there.
Get that gun under control there.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you with us, folks. It's you're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. And concerning Natural Green, we want you to remember that they're a locally owned, operated lawn and landscape care company. Their mission is to use the most environmentally sensitive products available to keep your lawn and landscape looking lush, beautiful, while still healthy for both people and pets. Give them a call at 763-213-2410. Well, we've got, like I said, a great show in store for you. Let's start without further ado with property management in the news. Property Management in the News is brought to you by Home Furniture and Abbey Floor Coverings. Their showrooms are staffed with professionals who will help you choose what you need to fit both your lifestyle and budget. Whatever you need, chances are they'll have what you're looking for. Now, if you wish to avail yourself of special pricing and discounts you're not going to find anywhere else, all Where You Live listeners can call Customer Service Coordinator Lori Matson. That number, 952-224-2663, and ask for your Where You Live with Gene and Tony special pricing. Well, our first story today comes out of the Washington Post in Fairfax County. There was a feud between one couple in a homeowner association, a smaller one of about 44 units, that ended up after, 3 or 4 years, I think, of wrangling and attorney's fees and going to court, of costing $400,000. Now, you may ask yourself...
To the community. That
Yes.
was $400,000 to the homeowners.
To the homeowner association. And you may ask, what is it that is so important that would cause people to spend $400,000? And remember, we're talking 44 units, so we're talking somewhere between $9,000 to $10,000 per person in terms of cost per home. What is worth $400,000? Well, it was the fact that Sam and Maria Farron in 2008, during that election, put up a lawn sign for their candidate of choice, and it was 4 inches higher than the association allowed.
Okay.
So what do you think of that, Tony?
We hear this story every week. Someone's violated the rules and they refuse to comply. And when the association tries to, I'm assuming they refuse to comply because this whole story is about the 4 years of legal wrangling. Association tried to enforce its rules, right?
Yeah. It seems to me, I mean, if there's something that is more ridiculous, I don't know what it is, to spend $400,000 over the fact of a lawn sign being 4 inches higher than it should be.
So it sounds like you're unsure whether it was the Farrens that were being ridiculous or the homeowners association that was being ridiculous.
I think there were things that got to absurdity on both sides. That would be my take. If you read this article by the Washington Post, they would give you the idea that the Farrens are just demonstrating their First Amendment rights of freedom of speech.
True. In fact, they describe the yard sign as a modest placard.
A modest placard.
They even use the
Okay, but you can understand how this takes place, where people fail to realize when the association asks an individual to do something because their rules and regulations or governing documents require it. It's not just because the board gets their kicks out of making life miserable and seeing who they can give a little no letter out to, but it's because they've got homeowners behind them saying, enforce this.
That's right.
Because other people...
I don't get to put a too large sign in my yard. Why should they get to do it?
Yes.
And like every rule, every regulation, every ordinance, every legislation, you have to draw the line somewhere. Apparently, the sign law rule was drawn at X number of square feet that did not allow for 4 inches beyond that.
Yeah. Now, there's a part of it that you go and you say, this is easy to see. This is, and on one side, the fault of these two homeowners.
I absolutely blame them, and I think they should be ashamed of themselves for pushing the issue. Here's the correct response. You get a note or a call from your homeowners association. They say, you know what? Your lawn sign is 4 inches larger than allowed by the covenants. Would you please remove it? The mature adult response is, wow, that's funny. I had no idea that it was so limited or that it was so picky, that we were so picky about it, but I'm happy to take it down.
I will do it.
I'm happy to take it down, and maybe I'll replace it with a smaller sign. That's the mature response. Admit you're wrong and remedy it.
Yeah.
Then move on.
Exactly. And but this is something over a 2008 election, and we're talking years had gone by. We're talking about something that got way out of control, And one of the things in this article with the Washington Post, they refer to experts. Who are these experts? We don't know, but they're experts. But,
I know they didn't call me. Did they call you?
Well, they might have. No, they didn't. But the experts say that feuds, and this is an interesting comment. I want to hear your perspective on this, Tony. Experts say feuds are becoming more common with the tremendous growth of HOAs. Do you think that is true, that statement, that feuds are becoming more common, that they're escalating in property management?
Well, these are relative terms. There are more feuds because there's more HOAs. There's more feuds within HOAs because there's more HOAs. So I don't know what the percentage is per capita. Or
okay, well, that's certainly a good point. In the 1970s, there was about 10,000 homeowner associations. Today, they say there's over 350,000.
So we're hearing more about what goes on in HOAs.
Yes. But to some degree, I would say that I think that feuds, disagreements, and people not getting along, in some ways, I do think I think it's getting worse.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know. I don't know if it's a function, if really there's more confrontation in our society today, or if we're just all more aware of it because the information is so readily passed along.
Another good point.
So it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to know.
Yes.
But there's also more people, so there's more opportunities for confrontation.
But we're certainly hearing people who just don't seem to know how to deal with one another. We're talking about neighbors, people that live next door to each other.
In the article, it states the statistic that you referenced. There in 1970, there were 10,000 association-governed communities. By 2012, that had reached 324,000. Yep. And I like this quote from the Illinois professor who's written 2 books on HOAs. His name is Evan McKenzie. This growth means there are a lot of people in HOAs who haven't necessarily bought into the lifestyle. So he's saying there's a lot of owners that buy in HOAs who haven't really bought into the fact that they're ruled by covenants.
And I agree with that. And that might be a part of the reason for seeing a little bit more feuds than
maybe.
we have too, because people, when they purchase a home, this is an American right. This is something that is mine. This is my castle. This is
But we've
where I
discussed
live.
this over and over again. Even in my castle, if it's a single-family home on 40 acres in the middle of Montana, or say 140 acres in the middle of Montana, I still have to abide by rules and regulations imposed by the state or by the county, correct?
Albeit less than probably in
probably fewer than an HOA.
than a
That's right.
30-story.
I can probably have my 4-foot 4-inch sign in my front yard, right?
Yes, that would probably be all right.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's more we got to talk about this story, but we need to take a break. Let's do that right now, and we'll find out more about the feuding folks in Fairfax County after these messages.